Hello, today I will be comparing Plato and Aristotle's views of reality and knowledge of Buddhist philosophy, and then I'll compare Aristotle's concept of eudaimonia and virtue ethics with Confucian ethics. Finally, I will explain which ethical view I find most convincing and defend it with the deductive argument. Let's begin with Plato. Plato believed that the most fundamental reality is not the physical world around us. Instead, he argued that the true reality consists of perfect and eternal forms. Forms are ideal versions of things such as justice, beauty, and goodness. According to Plato, the objects we see every day are only imperfect copies of these perfect forms. Because Plato believed the senses can be misleading, he thought knowledge is only acquired primarily through reason. In other words, people discover truth by thinking critically and using their intellect rather than relying only on what they see and hear. His famous allegory of the cave demonstrates this idea by showing how people can mistake appearances for reality until they gain deeper understanding through reason. Aristotle disagreed with Plato on this point. Aristotle believed that reality is found in the physical world itself. He argued that forms do not exist in a separate realm but are present within actual objects. For example, the nature of a tree exists within the tree itself. Aristotle also believed that knowledge begins with observation and experience. We learn by studying the world around us, gathering information through our senses, and then using reason to understand what we observe. Unlike Plato, Aristotle gave a much larger role to empirical observation or learning through experience. Now let's compare these ideas with Buddhism. One of the most important concepts in Buddhism philosophy is anatta, which means no permanent self. In simple terms, Buddhists believe that there's no fixed, unchanging soul or self. Instead, human beings are made up of consistently changing physical and mental processes. Buddhism also teaches that everything is impermanent. Much of human suffering comes from becoming attached to things as though they will last forever. Knowledge is gained through meditation, self reflection, ethical living, and direct insight into the nature of reality. There are some similarities between Plato and Buddhism. Both believe that ordinary appearances can prevent people from understanding reality. However, Plato believed in eternal and unchanging forms, while Buddhism emphasizes constant change and impermanence. Aristotle and Buddhism share a greater appreciation for experience. Aristotle focused on observing the natural world, while Buddhism encourages direct personal experience through meditation and reflection. However, Aristotle believed that things possess stable natures, whereas Buddhism teaches that all things are consistently changing and lack permanent essence. Next, I will compare Aristotle's ethics with Confucian ethics. Aristotle believed that the ultimate goal of human life is eudaimonia. Eudaimonia is often translated as flourishing or living in a fulfilled life. It is not simply pleasure or happiness in the everyday sense. Instead, it means achieving excellence as a human being through the development of good character. This idea is connected to Aristotle's theory of virtue ethics. Future virtue ethics focuses on building positive character traits known as virtues. Examples include courage, honesty, generosity, and self control. Aristotle believed that virtues are developed through practice and habit. Just as athletes become skilled through training, people become virtuous by repeatedly performing virtuous actions. Confucian philosophy also emphasizes moral development. One of its central concepts is Ren, which can be understood as kindness, benevolence, or humaneness towards others. Another important concept is Li, which refers to proper behavior, respect, and social customs that help create harmony in society. Both Aristotle and Confucius believe that good character develops through practice rather than simply following rules. They also agreed that moral growth takes time and effort. However, there's an important difference. Aristotle focused primarily on the flourishing of the individual through the cultivation of virtue. Confucius placed greater emphasis on relationships and social harmony. For Confucius, becoming a good person means fulfilling responsibilities within families and communities and contributing to a well-organized society. Of the two views, I find Aristotle's virtue ethics more convincing. Here's my argument. 1. Human beings achieve their highest well-being when they consistently develop positive character traits. 2. Virtues such as courage, honesty, and generosity improve both individual lives and society. Aristotle's virtue ethics provide a 3. Aristotle's virtue ethics provide a practical method for developing these virtues through habits and practice. So, Aristotle's virtues ethics provide the most convincing path towards achieving human flourishing or eudaimonia. A simple example would be a student who develops responsibility by studying regularly, meeting deadlines, and helping classmates. Over time, these actions become habits that strengthen character and contribute to long-term success and fulfillment. Aristotle would say that this person is moving closer to eudaimonia. In conclusion, Plato, Aristotle, Buddhism, and Confucianism all offer different perspectives on reality, knowledge, and ethics. Plato emphasized eternal forms and reason. Aristotle emphasized observation and experience. Buddhism emphasized impermanence and anatta. And Confucianism emphasized social harmony and moral cultivation. While each perspective provides valuable insights, I find Aristotle's virtue ethics the most convincing because it offers a practical approach to developing good character and achieving a flourishing life. Thank you.